It's my polite way of saying that. But I
Got
don't think it'd be
Okay.
fingers crossed, I
Yeah,
guess.
great.
But
Did you guys saw my presentation? Did it upload okay?
yes, it did. Yep. Yep. So all set. All right.
I like the
Thank you.
Christmas
I
getup.
thought about changing. I even brought a sweater with me today because I was like, "Is this meeting appropriate?" And I'm like,
Absolutely.
"We're gonna go with it."
Look, I got the Christmas
See,
bow
there you
tie,
go.
so it's all
Yep.
good. It's all good.
Yeah. Well, good seeing you.
You too, Jamie. Thanks a lot for your help.
Yeah. No problem.
You heard it. You heard it first. There's no questions. There's no comments.
Nice bow tie, by the way. Good evening. Welcome. December 19th, 2024, Kent County Board of Adjustment Public Hearing. Call roll, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Gallo?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Here.
Miss Denny?
Here.
Miss Hudson?
Here.
Mr. Cusick?
Here.
That is 7 present.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have introduction of staff, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessie Lindenberg. I will be residing as the hearing officer tonight. To my left is Jamie Fensky, another planner in the office. To her left is Mr. Mark Kennedy, our IT specialist. And down on the far end, we have Mr. Barrett Edwards, the attorney for the board.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I'm also going to say we're going to do a quick Christmas carol following the Pledge of Allegiance, just to spread a little holiday cheer from one of our members here, up here.
Nipping at your nose. You'll find carols being sung by a choir and folks dressed up like Eskimos. Everybody knows a turkey and some mistletoe helps to make the season right. Tiny tots with their eyes on the globe will find it hard to sleep tonight and use a Santa's on his way. He's bringing lots of toys and goodies on his sleigh. And every mother's child is going to spy to see if reindeers really know how to fly. And so I'm offering this simple phrase to kids from 1 to 92. Although it's been said many times and many ways, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins, and happy holidays to everyone. Any additions or alterations to tonight's agenda?
No, sir.
Thank you. Public hearing introduction, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jessie Lindenberg, and I will preside as the hearing officer for tonight's public hearing. This hearing is being conducted for the purpose of providing the citizens of the county an opportunity to present testimony on these applications before the Kent County Board of Adjustment. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak. This will provide those who wish an opportunity to give their testimony. If there is a group of interested citizens in favor or opposed to any of the applications, they may wish to elect one spokesperson among them to present testimony to the board. There is an official recording of these proceedings being made. Therefore, we ask that only one person speak at a time and that they speak clearly. Furthermore, there shall be no cross-examination of witnesses permitted during the public hearing, but the board can ask the applicant questions after any opposition if necessary. As a courtesy to other participants in this hearing, a maximum of 5 minutes will be allotted to any person who wishes to provide testimony. The chairperson of the board has the discretion to allow additional time if deemed to be necessary. To make statements when your application is called, and for the record, please give your name, address, and allow our attorney to swear you in prior to providing testimony. Copies of any written statements or exhibits used during the hearing should be presented for identification so that they may be included in the permanent record. The procedure on each variance application will be as follows. The legal notice will be read on each case prior to the receipt of testimony. There will be a brief explanation of the application by the staff. The board will then receive testimony from all of those in favor of the application, followed by testimony of those who may be opposed. Once those persons in favor and those in opposition have had an opportunity to speak, the hearing on that application will be declared closed. Decisions on all applications heard this evening will be made by the board during the business meeting following the public hearing. However, you are not required to remain after the public hearing once your request has been heard and closed. During the business meeting, the board will consider all information of record. A common vote of 4 members of the board shall be required to make a decision on each application. If you do not wish to wait for the business meeting later this evening, you may call the Kent County Planning Department tomorrow between 8 and 5 at 744-2471 to learn of the board's ruling. All applicants will receive written notification of the board's decision. This notice may not be mailed until after the next scheduled meeting, but if approved, you are welcome to apply for any necessary permits prior to receiving this by mail. Please keep this decision in your records for both you and all future property owners. The public notice of this evening's hearing was published on December 1st, 2024 in the Delaware State News. In addition, all of the subject properties were posted with a sign prior to the hearing to further notify the public of the nature of the applications. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we'll have a statement by council.
The test for granting of area variances is set forth by the Delaware Supreme Court in the case known as Board of Adjustment v. Quick Check Realty, Inc. The legal standard for area variances considers whether a literal interpretation of zoning regulations results in exceptional practical difficulties of ownership. To determine whether the exceptional practical difficulty test is met, the board must consider the following 4 factors. 1. The nature of the zone where the property lies. 2. The character and uses of the immediate vicinity. 3. Whether removal of the restriction on the applicant's property would seriously affect neighboring properties. And 4. Whether failure to remove the restrictions would create an unnecessary hardship or exceptional practical difficulty for the owner in relation to the owner's efforts to make normal improvements to the property. This factor is met only when the difficulties alleged by the owner are practical rather than theoretical and exceptional rather than routine. The inability to improve one's business may qualify as an exceptional practical difficulty. And also this consideration is where the board considers whether the applicant is seeking more relief than is minimally necessary to relieve the asserted difficulty. In general, the board is not permitted to consider factors other than the ones I've listed. Therefore, those speaking both in support of and in opposition to applications are urged to present only information bearing directly on 1, the nature of the zoning district, 2, the characteristics of the area, 3, whether the requested variances would seriously affect neighboring properties, and 4, whether applicants are confronted with challenges rising to the level of exceptional practical difficulties. In particular, presenters are instructed to exclude from their presentation any discussion of personal disputes or acrimony between the applicant and the neighboring property owners, as the board is not authorized to resolve such disputes. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we'll begin the public hearing.
Sorry, some technical difficulties there. Okay, our first application of the night is going to be A2451 for Tidewater Utilities. You're okay. They are seeking a variance from the condition and setback requirement that a water tower be set back from the street line or any other lot line, the height of such tower, the maximum height requirement of 80 feet, the maximum size of a sign of 10% of the area of the building front which each business occupies, and the maximum height of a sign of 30 feet to construct a water tower with signage. The property is located on the southwest corner of Sorghum Mill Road and Locust Grove Road, south of Dover. Levy Court District is the 5th. Zoning District is AC. You can see here on the exhibit, the required setback for the proposed tower would be 160 feet because it is going to be 160 feet tall. The applicants are asking that it be 9 feet from Locust Grove Road and about 26.85 feet from the side property line to the south. This is showing that there is an existing tower where this new tower is going to be placed, so they're replacing the tower with a taller one. The existing tower is currently about 14.92 feet from Locust Grove Road property line and 32.92 feet from the side property line to the south. This exhibit here is showing the proposed height as well as the proposed sign height. So the structure height limit for non-residential principal structures in the zoning district is 80 feet. They're proposing a tower of 160 feet. The permitted sign size, that 10%, we originally calculated out to about 143 square feet. They are asking for 672 square feet, and you'll see they have some slightly different calculations that they'll present to you tonight. The sign height limit is 30 feet, and they are proposing a sign height of 143 feet. This is the posting sign, looking up Locust Grove Road, down the other direction, further down that direction, looking at the property, and a bit further out just to show the tower. No, they're kind of facing towards it, so there's that existing other storage tank that will also be removed, I believe. And then another further out just to see the whole tower that is there. Aerial, and further out. And sir, if you'll please state your name for the board.
Good evening, Elio Batista Jr., Parkowski, Garrick, and Swayze, counsel for Tidewater Utilities.
You don't need to be sworn in. Thank you.
Members, we're here, as Jesse indicated, to seek 3 variances with respect to a new water tower that Tidewater wants to place in the location on the corner of Sorghum Mill and Locust Grove Road. Currently, there is a tower there which has been out of service for decades. It's been maintained, so the appearance doesn't look dilapidated, but it's way too small and cannot be put back into service to serve the current community and any expansion with respect to future development and fire suppression needs. With respect to the height and the signage, the analysis, as Mr. Robert Palmer from Beacon Engineering will present to you, is similar to which we were here a couple weeks ago. Same analysis with respect to the height. It's an engineering need. It's physics. I'm not going to talk to that. I tell them not to play attorney, and I'm definitely not going to play engineer. So with respect to the signage, again, same justification as last time. With respect to the statutory requirement, given the topographical location and where the current tank is, it's the best location to put the new tank, so we're not disturbing any further land, and there's already one there. It's not going to be a surprise to anybody. With respect to the setback, if you took a literal interpretation, it would provide an impractical difficulty in getting that tower there. And Mr. Palmer will explain further, but you think of a tower here, the big bulb up here. The outside of the bulb is 160 feet. Technically, that's going to be 9 feet from the road, but there's no physical impairment with respect to the setback. And actually, the base of this tower will be further away than the current tower, given the design. That being said, I will cede the podium to my colleague, Mr. Palmer.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, staff. For the record, my name is Bob Palmer with Beacon Engineering. Address is 23318 Cedar Lane, Georgetown, representing Tidewater Utilities.
My button. All right, Mr. Palmer, do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. So this first page, similarly to the presentation we made a few weeks ago, outlines the variances that we're requesting. And unlike the tower we were here for the last meeting, we're requesting setback variances, and I'll get into that in my presentation here in a moment. This first slide, last time we talked about the reason why the tower has to be so tall, and the reason for that is because the water surface elevation in this district is 181 feet above sea level. And this tower actually, while it is the same height as the tower that we presented last month, the top of the tower, if you'll notice, the top of the tower is actually only 13 feet of, the roof is only 13 feet above the top capacity line, But it's a taller side elevation because this ground is a little bit lower than the tower that we presented last month. And the point of the elevation in this district is, again, to provide fire protection, to provide drinking water and pressure for the residents and customers that are connected to the system here. And there's really no other way that we could make the tower any shorter. The tower that is there is shorter, and that's one of the reasons why it is not in service. If that tower were to be put in place, it would overflow constantly, and and in order to eliminate that overflow condition, all of the other towers in the district would have to be set at a lower elevation, which would then compromise firefighting capabilities. The second variant I'd like to talk about is the front yard and side yard setbacks. And I didn't spend a lot of time with the side yard because it's less of a variance request than 9 feet. 9 feet sounds pretty onerous. But I put this slide together in particular to kind of identify the differences. And Mr. Batista said in his presentation that the base of this tower will actually be farther from the road than the existing tower. This point here is where the base, the leg of the tower, it hits the ground, and it's roughly 16 feet. It's 15 feet 8 inches from the edge of the right-of-way. And this tower, you'll see the legs are actually outboard of the water, the part that holds the water storage tank. And that's just part of how a leg tank is designed. I got to go backwards, sorry. For the pedestal spheroid, the style tank that we're proposing, the base of the tank is actually farther back. It's about 6 feet 3 inches farther into the property. And the reason why this is an exceptional difficulty for us is because our easement is limited to the area that we showed on our exhibit. There's no more land available for us to relocate the tower elsewhere about the property. This is an easement from the holding company for the management company for this subdivision. And the other part of this is there would be less disturbance to the property, to the neighborhood. Our intent is to reuse and improve the bearing capacity of the existing foundation to support the larger capacity of water. In this slide, it's just kind of an aerial view to show how the tower fits into the neighborhood. This tower was built back in the 70s when this was at one time it was base housing, and this water tower was used to support that community. So it was tucked away down on the south side, out of the way of the rest of the community. Regarding the sign height that we're requesting is 143 feet, and the purpose for that is with water towers, the sign is basically placed up on top on the water ball, and it's centered on the equator, which is the largest part of the water tower. And we make sure I get this right. So I like to use real-world examples. This is, again, it's in Sussex County, but it's a tower that I designed back in the 90s for the city of Rehoboth Beach. And this is actually a 500,000-gallon elevated storage tank, which is the same size water tower that we'll be locating here at Eagle Meadows. And you can see in the view, on the screen, the size of that sign. It is essentially the same size sign that Tidewater Utilities is proposing to place on this tower. And it essentially works out to be an 85-degree view angle. The further around the circumference of the tower, the the more difficult it is to see the logo and what's being shown. So that's kind of the purpose for the width and the request that we're making. I talked with staff about the 90-degree requirement, and staff's philosophy was really trying to equate a round structure, which is kind of unique, to a typical building, where on a typical building only 25% of the building is visible, because it's, with the exception of this room, it's essentially a flat face to the travelway. And so, as before, I'm representing, how much of the tower would be part of that view shed. And based on this quarter of the tower being visible, the variance would be 325 and a half square feet, or 9.39% above the 10% that's allowed for on-premise signs. And the basis for that is we took the entire structure surface area, which includes the stem and the base bell, in order to create that calculation. But with the understanding that nearly 180 degrees of that tower, basically a tower has two sides, it's a front and a back, and that front and back is depends on where you're standing in proximity to the tower. Realistically, 160 degrees is the visible area. And so based on that requirement, there would be really only a variance of, if that were the criteria, a variance of 56 square feet, which is very, very, very small. But we don't disagree with staff's recommendation, and so that we're requesting the variance to be based on the 325 and a half square feet, 9.39%. You've seen this slide before. This represents all of the other water towers that Tidewater Utilities has and Artesian have in Kent County. Fort Branch Road, we just received levy court approval on Tuesday night for our conditional use request, so we're moving forward with that project. Last time I talked about corporate pride. Again, corporate pride is very important to Tidewater Utilities, and coming from the roots that they started in the 60s to today, it's quite an accomplishment to have become one of the premier private water companies in Delaware. And so you can see the three towers that Tidewater has in the district: Postal 8, Woodfield, and Garrisons Lake. They all have the same logo that we're requesting for this tower, and the same logo, albeit half the size of the one that was granted a variance for last month. And then the fourth tower that I have a photo of is the Magnolia Middle School, which is an Artesian Water Company tower. And you can see in that exhibit, there's not only a logo on the water ball, but they also have their name written down the stem of the tower, which is kind of neat. This also speaks to civic pride. Just about every water tower in Kent County, whether it's visible from the street, visible to the public or not, it has the town or the city's name on it. And much like with the communities, as I said, Tidewater Utilities has a very strong corporate pride about what it is that they do. And with that, I'll stop talking and see if you folks have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? From
Yes, Mr. Palmer, I have one.
Yes, sir.
If the existing tank has been out of service, I don't know how many years, how did you guys come to the point of deciding that you need a new tank now?
Tidewater Utilities prepared a water capacity analysis, and that capacity analysis is based on how much water is needed in the system with well pumping and peak demands and being able to provide a reservation for fire protection. And through that analysis, they determined that they need nearly 2 million gallons of, they're short in this area, they're short nearly 2 million gallons of water storage. 500,000 gallons was approved a number of years ago for the subdivision up on Carpenter's Bridge Road. There's the Fort Branch elevated storage tank that I said we just received levy court approval for. That's a 1 million gallon capacity elevated storage tank. and then this tower, the 500,000 gallon tank at this location.
So just to follow up, who do you expect to be the primary recipients of this tank?
The primary recipients would be the customers that are in the Camden, South Dover area.
Do you have a ballpark number, who we're talking about?
Sorry, Mr. Jenkins, I wanted to get the answer from our Tidewater Utilities. Mr. Corey indicated that there's nearly 20,000 customers in this district. It's their largest district in the state.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Great singing voice, by the way. Very enjoyable.
Mr. Bowman, I have a question about the fencing. I see
Yes,
you
sir.
have a current existing fence around the facility.
Yes, sir.
And based on your diagrams, the actual footprint or the base of the actual water tower is going to be further away from the existing fence. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that fence, we're proposing to replace it with a new fence that is,
In the same location?
yes, sir.
Okay, on the exact same footprint. Okay,
Yes,
thank
sir.
you.
Any other questions? Nope. Good, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else present that would like to speak in favor of the application? Is there anyone else present that would like to speak in opposition to the application? Seeing none, we will close the public hearing for application A 2451.
Thank you. Next, we have application A-24-53 for Jeffrey and Diane Gebert. Is there someone present for that? If you just want to remain seated for just a few moments, we'll go, thank you. All right, so the present zoning district is AR agricultural residential. The variance is from the required 40-foot front setback to enable the construction of a single-family dwelling. Present use is vacant, proposed use is residential. It's in the 3rd Levy Court District for Mr. Angel, located on the west side of North Bay Drive, approximately 1,398 feet north of Kitsummick Road, east of Dover. Here you will see the applicant is applying for a variance from the 40-foot required front setback. He is seeking a 10-foot front setback. This is the same variance that came before you in July of 2023, but it has expired since they were not able to pull a permit in that time. This is looking down the road towards Kitsummick, looking towards the end of the road towards the cul-de-sac. This is looking at the undeveloped property and the aerial. So, sir, if you would like to come forward, state your name and address, and allow our attorney to swear you in. You might need to move that mic up.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Gebert. My wife and I reside at 6 Sunnybrook Court in Stratford, New Jersey, just outside of Philly.
All right, if you can raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I'm here to request the variance that Jamie enumerated there. Actually stated a little over a year ago, August of, I think it was July or August of 23, we requested and were granted a variance. In that time, since then, December of last year to the present, my wife's been hospitalized 5 times, so I didn't catch up with the need to renew the variance request, hence it expired. Hence, I'm back here with essentially the same request as we made in July or August, July of 23, and was granted at the time, so there's no change in what we're requesting. We've owned the property. We bought it in 2006. In 2022, we decided we would, originally it was intended we would build a retirement and vacation home there on the lot and had the plans drawn up that you see. Those probably date back to shortly after we purchased it in 2006. And then, as I said, made the decision in 2022 to sell the property undeveloped. And in order to make it more saleable, we're looking to get the variance ahead of time of a potential purchase by a third party. So,
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Mr. Gebhardt, I have a question. It's in regards to, is there a blue line stream that's affecting you on your construction?
I'm sorry, is there what?
Like a blue line stream that's identified on here anywhere
No.
that limits the construction of where you're allowed to build?
No, not that I'm aware of.
If I may answer that, so there is tidal wetlands back here. Mr. Gebhardt's correct that there's not a blue line stream, but you are correct that there is environmental features. So there is wetlands in the back of the property. They require a 100-foot buffer because they're tidal wetlands. The applicant has applied for and been granted a administrative waiver to allow for a 6-foot buffer from the wetlands. This is the same waiver that has been granted from the RPC before.
Thank you.
Okay.
So I have a question with regard to a letter that we received from the property behind you, which you may or may not be aware of. And that neighbor, you certainly can see the letter. I don't think it's necessary for me to read names, but it's requesting that we deny it. The variance from the 40-foot setback.
Yes, I did see
Did
the
you
letter.
see that letter, so you're aware? So I just wanted to be certain you're aware. And do you have any response to the, there's 4 reasons. Some of them, it's like we are losing valuable farmland. If we decided we weren't going to let people, sadly, because I'm originally from a farming family, but sadly, if we said you can't ever build a house in a farm field, that would be the end of building and construction in our state and county. But I just wanted to know if you had any comments with regard to the letter.
Well, this letter, which I first saw when it was received about a little over a week ago, brings up questions that had not been raised to my knowledge before about drainage. Specific question: where would rainfall or high tide be directed as a result of building the single-family dwelling? The proposed dwelling would be up on piles with no requested or proposed infilling to change the topography of the lot. Second point here is any construction that will impede the flow of water away from adjacent properties should be denied, to include bringing fill dirt in that would force water onto adjacent properties instead of, okay. So there's no part of that is what I'm requesting. Ultimately, if we're able to sell the lot and somebody wants to build, I'm sure it'll be on piles, and then it would be, I presume, up to the new owner to provide meet any kind of requirements for bringing fill in. So that's not part of what I'm requesting. I understand the questions, but.
Thank you.
Okay.
I have a question for staff. What we're here to determine is, to consider, is solely the front setback, correct?
That is correct.
And if granted that waiver, the other issues are not really relevant to this board, correct?
What issues do you mean?
Regarding drainage, regarding flow of the water away from the adjacent properties.
That is correct. So when they submit a permit for a new single-family dwelling, they also have to submit approval from KCD, Kent Conservation District. So if there are any drainage issues, KCD will work with them on appropriately maintaining that.
And this property in this area on this side of the road is eligible for development, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
just have it on record that, from the applicant, that pretty much if you don't grant this variance, that, I mean, this is pretty much an unbuildable lot. Is that correct? If the variance isn't
I'm
granted.
guessing that a clever architect, different from the one I used, could come up with something
No,
to fit in
yeah.
the footprint of the lot, but it would require
pretty- yeah.
presumably a redesign from what
Yep.
we came up with in 2006 and 7.
And the 10-foot setback is comparable to other properties?
Yes.
Within that area?
There was a 9-foot setback that the previous owners applied for, and this is 1 foot further back than they asked for. And there are other, if you drive up and down Kitshummock Road, Bay Drive, you'll see that there are a number of houses most of them on the Delaware Bay side, the east side of Bay Drive, a few on the west, but are clearly, at significantly less than the 40-foot requirement, statutory requirement.
Very good, thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions? Nope, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this application?
For our guest who's joining us online, if you would like to speak in favor of this application, please indicate by raising your electronic hand.
Seeing no one, is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this application? Okay, if you would like to come forward, please state your name and address and allow our attorney to swear you in.
My name is Matt.
You can pull up that microphone.
I wonder how often that happens. My name is Matt Ton. I live over at 316 North Bay Drive, so I'm about 2 or 3 houses to the north side of where this is on the bay side. And I know you've already kind of mentioned
If
this, but
you could, hold on just 1 second. If you could raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll be very brief. Our concerns really are twofold. One is, I think, something that you've already addressed and may not be an issue that I'm able to bring out, but it's the flooding piece of it. The land on that side of the road just fills with water. We see it often following heavy rains, and we're concerned of the impact that adding property over to that will do with just the dispersal of water following rains. We continually see flooding. I think you may have already addressed that. I don't know if that's really something we can bring up, but it is a concern. The second piece then is really the being only 10 feet away from the road. The home right on the other side is very close to the road. It's a narrow road to begin with, 16 feet wide, and our concern then is really related to the homes being on top of each other at that point. When we purchased our home, we were aware of the 40-foot variance, and we felt that that was something that is the way it works, and we would just plan on never having to worry about anything being inside of 40 feet. And with that, though, it's really just kind of the narrowness of the road. How are trucks going to get by? How are we going to have the situation of, God forbid, something happens where we need to get safety vehicles in there? So I'm just kind of addressing just the piece of just stacking these homes right on top of each other. And so that's really all I wanted to say, and that's it. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak in objection of this application? Okay, if you would like to state your name and address and allow our attorney to swear you in.
My name is Sancha Tan. I'm at 316 North Bay Drive.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you. You may proceed.
Thank you for letting me speak. My issues that I'm raising may not be relevant to your decision-making process, but I do want to say, as members of our coastal community, we do have concerns about water and flooding. I have lived as a full-time resident in Kitshummock for 6 years, and it's not a long time, but in the 6 years that I've lived there, I've actually seen significant changes. In the past couple years, we've had new development at the confluence of Kitshummock and Bay Drive. The new homes that have been built that have been granted this variance are now Last year, around this time of year, we saw a lot of flooding. The road was completely covered with water. I had to drive through water, standing water on the road for weeks, and for months there was standing water in all of the surrounding lots where these new homes are built, including like huge, massive puddles in some of the homes that were built. So lots and lots of standing water and not a lot of drainage. So I know that's not relevant necessarily to your decision, but I do want to state that, and I just wanted to share. The property owners that live in the community have shared with me that in previous times of flooding has come from the wetland side of the road, and those homeowners who aren't lucky to have their homes on piles have had vehicles damaged. In 2009, a lot of the people that lived there had to have vehicles replaced. There was damage to a lot of the homes just in the last few years from the water and the flooding. If you look at the pictures from Google Earth where you're looking at Kitsummick Road, there is an image from 2012 and also from 2023. The 2012 shows a pristine road with no cracks. In 2023, lots of cracks. Just in the time that I've lived there, I've seen from the flooding more and more cracks in the asphalt, including a lot in this last year, particularly at that entrance to Kitsummick community. I would also like to say that I do have concerns that losing that Phragmite that's there, along with the trees that are on the lot that is being discussed of building, and the natural brush that's there is going to cause less of that drainage, less of that area that we have for the wetlands to actually drain themselves back out. These new homes cause me a lot of concern because I think that this is going to increase the damage to the roads. And as Matt mentioned, the road is only 16 feet wide, and it's not a road that has a lot of drainage on the side of it. I think our community is going to be sensitive and even more vulnerable to the water damages and erosion, with a big question mark and cause for concern for damage from drainage and safety. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, not for the applicant, but for staff. Is the drainage, this whole issue about the drainage, is this a Kent conservation issue and not ours?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Good, thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition?
Sorry. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to the application?
Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing for A-24-53. Next, we have application A-24-54 for Siobhan Conte and Craig Reeves. Is there someone present for that? Thank you. So the present zoning district is AC, Agriculture Conservation. They're seeking a proposed variance from the required 15-foot side setback to enable the construction of an addition. The present use is residential. Proposed use is same with an addition in the Levy Court District 6 for Mr. Hertz. Located on the north side of Westville Road, approximately 0.43 miles west of Alabans Mill Road, west of Wyoming. You will see here that the applicants are proposing an addition to the front of their home. They are seeking a variance to allow the addition to go 10 feet 6 inches from the side property line. This is looking at the front of the home, down the main road, and in the other way. This is looking at the existing foundation that has been placed. As you will see in your staff reports, this foundation was present in aerials dating back to April of 2021. A permit was not pulled until approximately October of this year, when the permit was denied by our staff for not meeting the side setbacks. Again, this is looking at the proposed addition area. Aerial, farther above. So, sir, if you would like to state your name and address and allow our attorney to swear you in.
Craig Reeves, 8485 Westfield Road, Wyoming, Delaware, 19934.
If you could raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you very much. You may proceed.
Yeah, I'm asking for a waiver for the side setback for an addition to the existing bedroom. Of course, you gotta excuse me, this is the first time doing this. And for the existing bedroom that we have, and my reasons are because of the zoning, of course, that you see on the paper is AC, which is ag. I'm sorry. Agriculture conservation, that's what I was looking to say. And our reasons are pretty much in full. It's just simple enough as that well, I've been living there for 21 years. And with the market of housing, this would be my forever home. I don't plan on moving. And me and my wife, our existing room has no closets. So we've been living like that for the time that we've been in the house. So with this addition that we're having, it's be you know, as us, you know, we got one kid left, 16, so we're pretty much getting ready to be living in the bedroom. You know, pretty much the rest of the house is going to be empty, which is the upstairs and family room. And we're just trying to make it convenient for us for the long haul of living, and wider doors for, you know, God forbid nothing happens where we be in a wheelchair or things of that nature, but for everything to be kind of spacious, because as of now, our clothing are on the side of the wall, extending out approximately, and I have images of that, which, you know, I didn't know if anyone could see, but it just sticks out off the wall, which ultimately is a safety hazard, you know, for anybody who's trying to pass through. And there you go. This is just the other side of the room facing. Y'all gotta excuse the room. Like I said, it's it's a small room, and that's the reason for the addition. And we're just pretty much just trying to make it comfortable for the long haul of living. And I've just spoken with my neighbors. The existing foundation that was there, the permits were supposed to have been pulled by the mason, which he didn't do, and that was the halt of everything. And also, you know, the funding to build such a project. And if you noticed in the picture, we got new windows. I kind of just stopped everything until I got past this part right here to see which direction this would go. But it's just extending 4 feet past the setback. There was a miscommunication when I called about the setbacks, that attached addition is to be 15 foot, where a detached addition would be 5 foot. So I was under the impression that I'm way above the 5 foot line. When I further inquired about getting things to moving, that's when I was understanding that it was a 15-foot setback. And you know, with the foundation being already built and everything, I hired a structural engineer and architect to come and make sure, as per the inspections and planning, that it would hold the structure that was being built there, which I had already did that, and not knowing that the 15-foot setback. So I would have to undo everything, which costs an additional monies, which, as you can see, as she said, it's been there for some time, because money was an issue, of course, of living, you know, getting my kid to UD and, you know, paying out of pocket for them type of things, you know, just a number of things. And I've gotten letters from my existing neighbors. One of them been there pretty much since I've been there, 21 years. He's on the far end, and the new neighbors, they just recently moved in, and we're all, and, good, as neighbors should be. And they all submitted letters stating that it wouldn't affect them in any way. On the left side of the house, which is being the closest, we're still up just about 50 feet from where her garage would start. So beyond the garage, we're, into the 60 range, if at least the garage was 12 foot, that's being at the minimal in width. But it is a two-car garage, so I'm sure it's more than that as well.
Thank you. Any questions?
Yes, Mr. Reeves, I have one. There's a partial foundation that's already there. I think you did that work in 2021, or was that prior to you?
I didn't do the work, but I hired a mason to do the work. And once I seen that, pretty much the, just the continuing to build was kind of in stages because, it's just the two of us, and we can afford to just do it all at one time. So we just kind of did it in pieces. And then I drive a truck, so just coming back and getting into a slower mode off of the road to be home more and not OTR. Now I can kind of tackle back into the project, and that's when I kind of ran into the setback issue that I was unaware of when it was being built.
So you had a number of personal things going on why you were not able to see this through from 2021. Am I following you right?
Mainly kids at the end of the day, they went through Holy Cross from pre-K to the 8th grade, and then my oldest went to UD, so to minimize student loan debt on her, we tapped into the line of credit and just paid for her to go to school. She's been out of school now for 2 years, and now we got the second one. Pretty much grade do the same thing, but things of growth, we're in a better position now, not great, but better, where we can kind of continue to build, get this done, and then pretty much just kind of just live and save for real retirement as we get older.
So is this addition going to alleviate closet space that you do not have according to the pictures we just saw?
Could you say that again for me?
When the pictures that you sent us that we took a look at, it looks like you really are in dire need of closet space. Is that what this addition is going to accomplish?
Exactly. That's exactly what it's doing, because it's a very tight squeeze, as you can see from the images. And, you have to do what you got to do when you got kids, that you got trying to make it easier for them to get through life. And that's the sacrifice we made. But as one of them's going now, we're just trying to make ourselves comfortable, because we get ready to be empty nesters here in the next 2 years. So I know I've broke it down to even getting a split system for that area, so heating and cooling the entire house wouldn't be a necessity, where it would bring down the cost of bills. I've did the numbers on everything just because it's getting real.
Mr. Reeves, are you aware that the staff has recommended denial? Are you aware of that? And can you address the fact that they believe you have other alternatives to get this done?
I would think that I don't understand what alternatives, because if I was to go where, mainly because it's already there, that would be undue cost on me for the most part, because it's been a cost getting to this point. Also, with the closet space where the architect put the closet, it would actually put my bedroom back to the way it was before, and width-wise. It would pretty much, actually, it would be just a tad bit shorter with the 36-inch door, approximately 24 inches on each side for closet space. It would actually shorten it up. So hopefully I'm trying to get to where, like I said, if knock on wood, nothing happens, that we're able to migrate around the room, and hopefully not in wheelchairs or anything, but even walkers of that nature, without anything being a hazard in the way. And
thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Reeves, when did you actually have the foundation built?
Like I said, I think it was right around 21 if I had to guess off the top of my head. It's,
So I just want to elaborate here, just to try to find a hardship, which I see personally, but just want you to touch base on it. Because the staff is saying that this addition can go elsewhere on the property, but I feel like in order to do that, you have to relocate the master bedroom, which is a financial cost. Just want you to touch base on that, why that addition cannot go anywhere else.
Exactly, because it can't go backwards because of the
There's a septic back there.
Exactly. On the other side of the house, that's the garage area. There's no bedrooms at all over in that area. So coming off of where the existing bedroom is pretty much the only area where it could extend to be, and what's the word I'm looking for? To make sense of it. You can't really go anywhere else. The door coming in to the bedroom goes there, so it will be just an extension from there. And putting a door anywhere else, it would really be way more expensive and probably clearly out of my budget to kind of do a major renovation of that sort right there. I'm just pretty much just trying to keep the existing footprint and keep it in in the existing area of where the bedroom is now.
Thank you. Any other questions? Nope. Good. Thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition of this application? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearing for application A-24-54. Next up, we have two variances. If it's okay with the board, I will present them together. The reason for this is because they are seeking to do a minor lot line adjustment. So they are giving a little bit of land from one property to the other. So to do the minor lot line adjustment, they will need a variance on one property, which will be the first one, from just impervious coverage. And then the second property is seeking a variance from lot frontage, lot width, lot size, and impervious. But again, they go together because they are seeking a minor lot line adjustment for the two of them. So we have the applicant and owners, David, Tyler, and William Washington, and Shirley Morris. The present zoning district is RS1 for both properties. They are seeking a variance from the maximum impervious coverage limit of 30% for the first lot, and for the second lot, they are seeking a variance from the minimum frontage of 150 feet, the lot width of 100 feet, a minimum lot size of 1 acre, and then from the maximum impervious coverage of 30% to enable a lot line adjustment. In the Levy Court District 4th for Mr. Scott, they are located on the north side of South Bowers Road, approximately 0.61 miles north of Webb's Cutoff, south of Bowers Beach. So on this exhibit here, you will see the first parcel, which is parcel 10. They are going to be obtaining more property. So the red lines are the proposed new lot line with the lot line adjustment. The green line there is the existing line. So you will see they are moving the line so that all of the improvements that belong to parcel 10 will be on parcel 10 and no longer crossing the property line to go on to parcel 11. So parcel 10 is seeking a variance from just the maximum impervious coverage. They are seeking a variance to allow 53.7%. Their existing impervious coverage is 56%. This is looking down the road farther out of Bowers, back towards the front. This is looking at parcel 11's garage and house. Again, the garage on parcel 11. This is the deck on parcel 11. The back of parcel 10. This is looking from the water. Parcel 11 is on your left, parcel 10 is on your right. This is the ramp that is crossing the property line as it exists now. This is looking, the yellow is parcel 10, and to the right of that is parcel 11. So again, this is the second parcel, this is parcel 11. You will again see the green line, which is the existing property line. Parcel 11 will be getting smaller, but again, all of the improvements on parcel 10 will now be on parcel 10 and will not be crossing the property line. Parcel 11 is seeking a variance from the maximum impervious coverage to allow for 68%. Right now, they are at 63.3. They are also seeking a variance from the frontage of 37 to allow for 37.31 and lot width to be 37. Again, lot width is measured at the front setback, so it is slightly different. You'll see there in purple, that's measured at the front setback line of 25 feet. The required lot size is 1 acre. They are seeking to make the lot a little bit smaller, so the lot will be proposed at 4,931 square feet. These are the same pictures we just looked at. Again, I just want to point out this is the ramp that's currently crossing the property line, so it is attached to the house on lot 10, parcel 10. This is the garage on parcel 10. Looking from the water and the aerials. So sir, if you would like to state your name and address and allow our attorney to swear you in.
My name is William Washington, 5609 Camberley Drive in Milford, Delaware.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Why we're here, my grandfather bought these properties in the late 40s, and they've been continually lived in since then by my family. My father passed away in December at 95, so consequently, 4 of us have inherited these properties. In the process of cleaning them out and taking a look at them, I happened to look at, I just pulled a measurement off of some sidelines, and I kind of realized that possibly this house was encroaching on the other property. I helped my father build the lot that's on 10 in the 1980s, right around 1982. When my grandfather bought it, there were 3 lots there. So these 2 lots were originally laid out as 3. I believe, I don't know this for a fact, I believe my father thought there was a cottage on number 10, and that house that's on 11 was there. That was my grandmother's house. I believe that when he added on to that cottage, that he thought that he was building on 2 of the 3 lots. I really don't think he thought about encroaching into the other lot. Consequently, I thought it was a simple thing to get a lot line adjustment. I have found that it's not so simple. So we hired the surveyors to survey it, and it's really not even the just that little deck. If you look at that one
You
view,
can touch that screen if that helps.
Well, you mean go back and forth? Well, if you, right here where the deck is, the ramp. If you look at that property line, actually the overhang of the roof, when the surveyors do it, I'm not sure they take in consideration the overhang of the roof. I think the overhang of the roof is actually, the overhang of that roof right up there is actually over the property line as well. Initial intent, after someone passes away, just say there's four people involved and they're all represented here today. One of the notions was like to keep one property and maybe sell the other property, or sell it all together, or sell it separately. The problem with the encroachment, to me, is a problem that needs to be remedied, and that's why we're here. I would like to have the
the recommendations of the planning and zoning put into the record for this. We really didn't do anything here. This is how it's been. Well, the house on 11's been like that since I was a child. Really, nothing has really been done to that. Like I say, 10, there was a cottage there, and we built that house in the 1980s. And my father put the garage in the back there at some point. So that's why we're here. I thought we were just trying to get it cleaned up, is what the idea was.
Very good. Any questions? Nope. All good. Appreciate it.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone that would like to, anyone else that would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anyone that would like to speak in opposition of this application? Seeing no one, we will close the public hearings for both application A24-55 and the public hearing for application A-24-56.
Great. Thank you. Do we need to take a break? Keep moving. Keep rolling. Let's go. All right. What's that? All right, 5-minute break.
Hurry up.
Your name's still on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your name right there.
Oh, he shouldn't have been there. No, I still represent Canton. I still represent, I represent Canton.
They still wish you were there.
Yeah, I don't normally don't attend those.
Chief than you.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But it's something simple you think it'll be. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll start the business meeting. Do roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Gallo?
Here.
Mr. Carter?
Here.
Mr. Jenkins?
Here.
Ms. Denny?
Here.
Ms. Hudson? Mr. Cusick?
Here.
Thank you. That is 7 present.
Thank you. We'll approval of the business meetings from the November 21st, 2024 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the November 21st, 2024 Board of Adjustment meeting.
I'll second that. Joan Denny.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 I was absent for that meeting, so therefore.
Thank you. Notice of the decision, approval of the decisions from the November 21st, 2024 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the following A24-43, 44, 45, 46, 48, 49, and 50 of the notices of decisions for the November 21st.
Mr. Jenkins, the notice of decision for 50 actually isn't in there. We'll have some old business for that one.
Right. 49 notices of decision for the November 21st, 2024 Board of Adjustment meeting.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. 2 absent.
And mark me as not voting.
Old business, 824-50, Tidewater Utilities.
Okay, thank you. So for this one, this is the application that you heard last month for Tidewater Utilities for the tower on Fork Branch. We just wanted to ask for a clarification on the motion. The motion that was made was that the signage could start at 120 feet above the ground. We wanted to specify in the motion the height limit at the top, just since that's how the regulations are written, is to be the top portion of it. And you see in the old business there that the applicant did state that it would be 140 feet above ground for the top portion of the sign. So we were just asking if the board would like to change that motion, and then we can make it more clear.
Okay, thank you. So just to reiterate, so we have 120 feet to the bottom of the sign. Tidewater is asking for 140 feet to the top of the sign. Does the same person need to make the motion so we need a motion to grant approval for them for 140-foot top of the sign?
Okay, Joan Denny, I make a motion as to revisit, and I don't have that application number before me, 2450, to define the height as being 140 feet.
I'm going to recuse myself from this discussion as well as application A2451.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Can you call roll, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Jones?
I was absent for that particular meeting, so I'll be abstaining.
You could still vote on that if you wish.
I'll vote in favor of the motion, based on the information that you just gave and that Ms. Denny just gave.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote in support of the motion for application A24-50 based upon the correction that was given to us and what was needed by the water tower company.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I'll vote in favor of the application based on the discussion tonight.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I vote yes for reasons stated in my motion.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote in favor of the motion based off the public testimony and staff recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote in favor of the motion.
Thank you. That is 6 in favor.
Thank you. With that, application A24-50, the height of the sign is 140 feet above grade.
Okay, and then?
Yep. So we'll begin new business deliberation now.
Yes. So our first application is A2451, and it is for Tidewater for the Eagle Meadows Water Tower. Again, they are asking for a variance from the condition and setback requirement that the water tower be set back the height equal to the height of the tower, that the maximum height requirement is 80 feet. The maximum size of the sign is 10% of the area of the building front which the business occupies, and the maximum height of the sign is 30 feet. To construct a water tower with signage, the tower is proposed at 160 feet. It will be 9 feet from the Locust Grove property line, 26.85 feet from the southern side property line. The signage will be... You're fine. Signage will be 672 square feet, and it will be 143 feet above grade.
Thank you. Any discussion or motion?
Yes, I had a comment. I would think anybody in that immediate area that is looking at the current situation would be excited about further improvements. I think it was Mr. Jones that made a comment about the fence. I saw that on the paper. The fence looks dilapidated, and the condition of that old tower, I would think any improvement, and with what Tidewater has done in the past, there's no reason to think they wouldn't rise to the occasion in this situation.
I agree.
I agree with what you're saying, Mr. Jenkins, as well. And also, the base of the footprint's actually going to be farther away from the roadway now. And also note that DelDOT did not have any comments about the distance.
Well, I'll make a motion for A2451. I vote to approve the variance to construct a 160-foot water tower, 9 foot from the front property line, 26.85 from the side property line, with a signage of 672 square feet, and the sign shall be placed 143 feet above the grade. Based off the public testimony that we heard tonight, and I believe removing these restrictions would not be out of characteristic for the surrounding area since there is currently a water tower there.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Carter.
I'll vote in favor of the motion based on the testimony tonight and the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
I'll vote in favor of the motion of application A24-51 based on the testimony that was given this evening by both parties. Also on the staff recommendation, and given the idea that the property is going to be upgraded somewhat from what it's existing today.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I vote yes. I think the actual footprint is going to be a little more narrow due to the design of the new tower. The new tower is absolutely needed, and I think is from the standpoint of the view, it's going to be a much better look for that community. And again, the extra capacity in this day and age is sorely needed. So yes.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote in support of the motion for application A24-51 because the tower is necessary and very needed, and it's a characteristic of the area that is in. So,
thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote in favor per my motion.
Thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote in favor of the motion. Yeah, I mean, I think it fits within the existing area community as there's an existing water tower there. The setbacks per the testimony given tonight were within the existing footprint now. And the sign height and the sign size, just per the testimony, the geometry calculations that were given, really it's very minimum with the height of the tower, and then also be able to market this company to be able to stay competitive within the market.
Thank you. That is 6 in favor.
Thank you. With 6 in favor, application A24-51 is approved.
Okay, so next we have application A-2454 for Ms. Conte and Mr. Reeves. Again, they are seeking a variance from the required 15-foot side setback to place an addition, 10 feet 6 inches from the side property line.
Thank you. Any discussion?
I had a question for the staff. Had the applicant come to the county in 2021, would that permit have been approved with those dimensions in that location?
No, sir, it would not. And actually in 2021, the setbacks would have been 25-foot sides with an aggregate of 60.
It would not have been approved if that.
No, sir.
Just clarify, what application are we speaking of?
54.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, we're up for discussion.
Let me just I don't know that this was brought up for the actual public hearing, but inside of our packet, we do have 2 letters of support from, I believe one is an adjacent property owner, and then one is another neighbor. So I just wanted to make sure that was noted, that we do recognize that there are some, for this particular one, there is some in favor.
Good point. Thank you.
Well, let me start it off. One of my concerns is that it seems to have been a self-imposed hardship on this particular application. If it fell at this time within, you would have to remove some of the foundation, and that's true. It still would be a relatively large expansion of the house and the living area of the house. And I don't know if it was spoken upon as far as moving forward, if that was an option, moving forward within the setbacks. And I think that's something that needs to be considered.
Yeah, I agree with you with the existing foundation. With that said, but looking past that, if that wasn't there, just the hardship of the applicant being able to build an addition to improve his property. I think go around, like the master bedrooms on that side. Putting it in the rear, the septic's back there. So, I mean, to put, it's additions for the master bedroom. So, I mean, they'll have to rework the whole house to be able to do an addition, which is a financial impact.
I guess what I'm saying is if that addition was added on, it was more narrow and within the setbacks.
Yep.
It still would be a significant expansion of the home. And as another option, it looks like it could be moved forward into the property toward County Road 52 as well, if the actual square footage is the issue.
Removing then foundation to make that adjustment, I think would come at a significant cost. And based on the testimony that the applicant presented tonight, obviously part of the reason it's taken so long is the financing of it. And I think that we don't need to add additional financial hardship to allow this. I don't really see, I'm not the engineer in this group, we have others who are, but to go behind, I think, number one, it doesn't appear as though there's legitimate places where you could put it, and you certainly don't want your bedroom closet next to your garage. So to me, this is the, where it is the most practical place to have a closet, which would be off of the bedroom. I honestly see I see exceptional practical difficulties here. And it's not necessarily because of the fact that he's already started it, although that is a hardship. But I just think that, the same way I feel about driveways, that a driveway should come into your garage or your garage area. I feel the same way about this. The bedroom closet, this expansion is really to add bedroom closet storage, possibly even a dressing room, and I think that that's where it belongs.
So staff is recommending that the west side of the house, correct?
Yeah, that's where the garage is. No, west side. Where's the aerial? There you go.
Well, wouldn't it be possible just to change the configuration of that room right where it is? is what I'm saying. I'm not suggesting locating it somewhere else in the house. Make it more narrow and further out toward the road if the size of the room is the issue. There's no question taking out a foundation and putting a new one is going to be an expense. I'm not arguing that, but it is a self-imposed expense. And I think that needs to be at least acknowledged.
I think you also want to make note that the property owner had hired a contractor, and he was under the impression that the contractor was going to handle all permits. Contractor didn't, so that's a hardship in my opinion, on the property owner, because he was falsely led to think that he had a permit for this. So I think requesting, the foundation to be removed and then tied back into where the existing is, I just think you're going to create a whole lot of hardship and problems on doing that.
I agree. Thank you.
What are the dimensions of that addition? I don't know that I have them. Did anybody get them?
$26 by $27.
Thank you.
Again, when you look at the map that's in front of us, and based on, as we're supposed to, it says clearly, and we've been doing this for years, the staff has, that the staff recommends that the board strongly consider all public testimony. And I think the testimony that Mr. Reeves has given, and in light of the fact that the foundation is already there and the cost of removing that. I mean, it's not like they just dug up some dirt and put some concrete blocks in there. It's expensive, and I think that the burden shouldn't fall back on him because he trusted in a contractor.
I want to make a motion that we approve application A-24-54 based on what we've just discussed here amongst the seven of us, and also based on the testimony that was given by Mr. Conte, Mr. Reeves. I just feel like that there is a hardship. I truly believe that he thought that his contractor was getting the necessary permits and that he wouldn't be sitting here in front of us tonight. So put that behind us. The foundation is there. I think it would create a hardship, and we have support from the adjoining owners. That's a big thing here for this particular one for me.
I second that motion.
Got a motion and a second?
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote in support of the motion for application A-24-54, not only because of the testimony of the applicant, but it looks like the request is not excessive in the extent of the need that he has. And this type of request is consistent with the zone that it's in. So for those reasons, I support the motion.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I vote in favor of that motion based on the testimony tonight and the support of the neighbors.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I'll vote in favor of A-24-54 based off of the public testimony that we heard tonight and how the neighbors are in agreement with it. And I believe that removing the restriction doesn't seriously negatively impact the neighboring area.
Thank you. Mr. Gallo?
I'm going to vote in favor of the motion based on the discussion here tonight and supported by the neighbors' support for the addition and the variance.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I'm going to vote yes. I absolutely think there's an exceptional practical difficulty that would be created here by us if we were to make Mr. Reeves go to the expense of removing this foundation or altering the foundation. I think there's a need for this addition in order to have a closet. It is in the right place of the house. When you look at the property, there's way too many things going on behind it. And either way, it would not be adjacent the bedroom. So ultimately, and again, we have 2 letters in our packet in support from neighbors, and frankly, the testimony this evening really did lend itself to this is what we should be doing.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
I'll vote in favor of my motion based on what I discussed in my motion.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cusick?
I vote in favor of the motion. I don't think this addition will have any impact on the neighboring properties, as well as the neighbors' approval letters that were submitted, and then also the hardship here that the applicant stated per his testimony that this needed addition is the hardship is there to be able to make a normal improvement to his property, and then the financial impact that this caused per his testimony to be able to achieve that.
Thank you. That is 7 in favor of the motion.
Thank you. With 7 in favor, application A24-54 is approved.
Okay, so next we have applications A-24-55 and application A-24-56. So again, they are seeking variances to allow them to do a minor lot line adjustment. Application A-24-55 is for parcel 10. They are seeking a variance from the maximum impervious coverage allowed to allow for 53.7%. And application A-24-56 is for parcel 11. They are seeking a variance to allow for the frontage to be 37.31 feet, lot width to be 37 feet, the total lot square footage to be 4,931 square feet, and a max impervious coverage to allow 68% to enable the lot line adjustment.
Thank you. We're going to do both applications at one time?
I would do separate motions just so we can keep them
Okay.
clear for the notice of decisions.
good.
Thank you.
So let's start with A-24-55.
Our discussions will be about both at the same time, though, correct?
Yep.
Yes, well, in that vein, I think it, based on the testimony that I heard, it seems to be a reasonable request, and the owners look like they're trying to clean some things up that maybe just slipped through the cracks over the years. And if they want to sell one of these lots, it also looks like this move here is necessary, based on what I heard.
I tend to agree with you, Mr. Jenkins. This is an inherited issue that the family members have inherited, and they're doing the correct thing by getting this straightened out now so the future generations and/or future buyers don't have to sit in front of us.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion for A-24-55. I vote to approve. Vote to approve the variance for a maximum impervious coverage of 30%. Oh, so, yeah, 30% to allow for a minor lot line adjustment of 7,457 square feet with an impervious surface coverage of 53.7. Based off public testimony that we heard tonight, and I believe removing these restrictions do not hurt neighboring properties, and I believe it's in the characteristics of the surrounding area.
I'll second.
Motion and second.
Thank you. Mr. Gallo?
I vote in favor of the motion. I believe a failure to remove that restriction would create an unnecessary hardship on the owner.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I vote in favor of the motion based on the testimony tonight and the recommendation of the staff.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote in support of the motion for application A 24-55 because this decision is necessary and it wouldn't have an adverse impact on the immediate vicinity.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I'm going to vote in favor. Essentially, we're not really changing anything other than making the lot lines compliant with the property lines, and I think it's necessary. And I tend to sometimes be a little overkill with the impervious soil, but we all know that in that area, like, you know, it tends to not be a big issue there. So, yes.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Jones?
I vote in support of the motion for application A 24-55, based on testimony that was given this evening, based on the staff recommendation, and just pretty much based on common sense.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote in favor for my motion.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Cusick?
Yes, I vote in favor of application A 24-55 per staff recommendation and the testimony given tonight.
Thank you, sir. That's 7 in favor of the motion.
Thank you. With 7 in favor, application A 24-55 is approved. Tackle application A 24-56 now.
Well, I feel like it's really no different than the one before it, and so considering what Mr. Jones said with the last application, I feel as though it's appropriate for us to do this.
This is the one that's getting smaller, correct?
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion for A 24-56. I make a motion to approve the variance to enable a minor lot line adjustment to allow a frontage of 37.31 with a lot width of 37, lot size of 4,931 square feet with an impervious surface coverage of 68%. Based off the public testimony that we heard tonight, staff recommendation, and I believe removing this restriction does not seriously affect neighboring properties and is in characteristic of the surrounding areas.
I'll second.
Motion and a second.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I vote yes. I definitely think it's a necessary adjustment.
Thank you. Mr. Gallo?
I vote in favor of the motion. I don't believe the variance will affect the neighboring properties, and the failure to remove the restriction would create an undue hardship on the owner.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I vote in favor of the application based on the discussion tonight and the staff recommendation.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote in support of the motion for application A 24-56 because it does fit in the character of the area that it's in. It's a normal improvement or adjustment, and the fact that it might alleviate any economic hardship in terms of trying to sell this lot, if that's in the conversation in the future.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jones?
I'll vote in support of application A 24-56, based on the testimony that was given tonight and the staff recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Hudson?
I vote in favor per my motion.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Cusick?
I vote in favor of the motion for application A 24-56 per staff recommendation.
Thank you, sir. That's 7 in favor of the motion.
Thank you. With 7 in favor, application A 24-56 is approved.
Thank you. Now we're going to go back to application A-24-53 for the Geberts. Again, they are seeking a variance from the required 40-foot front setback, and they are seeking a variance to allow for the single-family dwelling to be placed at 10 feet from the front property line.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Well, I think most of us who've been here for a while know that there is no such thing as all things being equal when it comes to Kitshomick. And I think it is absolutely a reasonable, these are reasonable setback adjustments, absolutely. It's the nature of the beast.
Yes, I was discussing earlier, those irregularities down there are just common. I mean, to me, you can't go down there and buy something or consider buying something and not be aware of the nature of what's going on down there. That would be a mistake.
And I think some of the opposition that we received as far as the letters and concern are on subjects that we're not here to approve or discuss or agree or disagree with. So we have to think about just the setback, let the water be the water issue, let the traffic be the traffic issue. It's just a matter of the setback, and it is characteristic of the neighborhood throughout that whole area, in my opinion.
Absolutely agree, and Kent Conservation and ADELDOT will, should they have a concern, they will raise their voices. We all know that.
Well, I'll make a motion for 82453 to vote to approve the front setback of 10 foot or give them a variance of 30 feet based off the public testimony that we heard tonight and staff recommendation.
Joan Denny, I'll second that motion.
Motion and second.
Thank you. Mr. Carter?
I vote in favor of the motion based on the testimony tonight and the staff recommendation.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Gallo?
I vote in favor of the motion based on the testimony tonight. Is a normal improvement to the property, and denying the application would create hardship on the homeowner.
Thank you. Mr. Jenkins?
I vote in support of the motion for application A24-53 because this type of variance is common in that particular area. It does fit the character of the area, so keeping with consistency of that Kitshomick area, I'm in support of it.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
I'll vote in support of the motion to approve application A-24-53 based on the testimony that was given tonight, given the characteristics of the neighborhood. So I vote in favor thereof.
Thank you. Ms. Denny?
I vote yes. Based on my statement when I made the motion, I really think that if we were to deny this, we would really be creating an exceptional practical difficulty.
Thank you. Ms. Hudson?
I vote yes per my motion.
Thank you. Mr. Cusick?
I vote in favor of the motion for application A24-53 per staff recommendation.
Thank you, sir. That's 7 in favor of the motion.
Thank you. With 7 in favor, application A24-53 is approved.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.